Are you a graphic designer looking to boost your income and considering a shift to UX design? It might seem like a perfect fit. More money, similar work, but is it really the right move for you? Most resources highlight only the upsides of becoming a UX designer. In this video, we'll dive into the reasons why UX design might be a terrible career choice for you. By the end of the video, you will have a rubric to score your answers against to see if UX is right for you. That way, you don't waste your time wondering if you made the wrong career choice, one way or the other. Before we dive in, if you don't know about us, my name is Ludovic. I'm one of the co-founders of Kick-Ass UX. We help graphic designers become unignorable UX UI designers. So if you want to learn UX and how to stand out from the crowd, you're on the right channel. And if you want to see more videos like this that will help you in your design career, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, reason number one why you should not become a UX designer is if you don't like research. It's not that research is all UX designers do, it's just that it's a fundamental part of the job. Every project starts with some form of research, whether it's a competitive analysis or actually talking with users, aka user interviews. And research continues throughout the design process, from checking back in with users or running usability testing when needed. As a UX design generalist, meaning you do everything from user research through to visual design, you are responsible for the research. That means you will do what's necessary to create a meaningful solution. Research is wonderful because it provides the data necessary to overcome stakeholder subjectivity. When you present your designs to stakeholders, you can show them exactly why you made the choices you did. It provides support for your design decisions. Most of our graphic designer students don't like conducting research at first, but the more they do it, the more they enjoy it because it helps eliminate subjectivity. So the question to ask yourself is, do I like researching things to help me with my designs? Keep this answer in mind as you go through the rest of the video. Moving on to reason number two. This one might sound snarky or like it's laced with reverse psychology, but it's not. I promise. If you don't want to have a bigger impact on the business, don't become a UX designer. Here is what I mean. As a UX designer, you wear a ton of hats, including user research, which we just talked about, business analysis, content strategist, information architect, interaction designer, visual designer. When you wear the user research hat, you conduct research to better understand the customer, their goals, and motivations. You take those insights to help fuel your design so you can create a product that's useful, relevant, and meaningful. When you wear the business analyst hat, you spend time understanding the business so you can make design choices that benefit the business bottom line. When you put on the content strategist hat, you spend time understanding the type of content the company puts out and how to use the company's style and tone of voice within the features you design. When you wear the information architect hat, you spend time understanding how all the information within the product fits together. You then make meaningful connections and organize it so users can intuitively understand it. When you wear the interaction designer hat, you make sure people can use the product. You spend your time ensuring your designs are usable and clear. And finally, when you wear your visual designer hat, you make sure your designs are beautiful. Each of these hats combine to help you build a real product that solves user problems. In other words, you create a real product users need. As a graphic designer, 90+% of the time you create assets that augment products, not the product itself. Just by being a UX designer, you have more impact, which is why UX designers make a lot more money. So the question to ask yourself is, do I want to have a bigger impact in my company? Again, keep this answer in mind. Let's talk about reason number three. If you want to maintain more creative freedom in your design career, then you should not become a UX designer. Here is what I mean. In graphic design, you have a brand and style guide to work with. And while these provide guidelines, you have creative freedom within those boundaries. This allows you to express your own type of creativity every day within your job. It's one of the things you love about your job, right? And if you're a graphic design freelancer, then this applies even more so. Within UX, you have less creative freedom. Don't get me wrong, you still get to design things and do it your way, but you're not playing around with much color. In UX, a product must be easy and intuitive to use. That's why we rely on established usability patterns that people know and have used. For example, if you're searching for something, you expect to use a search box. 99% of the time you'll use established usability patterns in your UI design. For example, radio buttons, checkboxes, text input, drop-downs, etc. You always aim for the simplest, clearest way to help users accomplish their goal. That's why on each UX project I work on, I spend a good amount of time analyzing competitors' products. I'm looking for similar controls and patterns I can reuse in my designs. Companies with established design teams will already have component libraries. These libraries have color, styles, and user interface controls already built. So, instead of designing from scratch, you'll be using their component library to create the solution. In these companies, there's still opportunities to contribute new patterns back to the component library, but it doesn't always happen. In newer companies, you will likely help build a component library. When you build out new sections of the UI, you'll contribute those back to the library. In these scenarios, you'll definitely have slightly more creative freedom, but not much. All this is to say, in UX you follow established usability patterns to put together your designs. So the question to ask yourself is, am I okay with less creative freedom in my design career? Hold on to your answer until the end. Let's dive into reason number 4. If you don't like the nitty-gritty details, then don't transition to UX. In UX, you have to think through all the ways a product or feature works. For example, let's say you're working on a new trip planning feature for Airbnb. How does someone add a trip idea to their board? What specific buttons do they have to press? How do they access the board? Where is it in the app? How many boards can someone have? How long can the name of the board be? Can they invite people to the board to collaborate? If so, how do they communicate within the app? How do they remove something from their board? What if they accidentally delete something from the board? Do they need to be warned? These are only a few of the questions that need answers to build this feature. And you would be responsible to answer each of those in great detail. By the end of the project, you will have created mockups of each of those scenarios so you can hand them off to developers. You'd also include annotations next to the screen so developers know what you're asking for. It's a lot of screens to create and a lot of detail to get right. So here is the question to ask yourself. Do I enjoy getting into the nitty-gritty details? Keep that answer in mind until the end. Finally, reason number 5. If you only want to work on the visuals, then I definitely don't recommend transitioning to UX. This one is pretty straightforward. This isn't to say that you won't work on the visuals, because you will definitely get to do that. It's just not the only thing you do. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, UX designers wear 6 primary hats: user researcher, business analyst, content strategist, information architect, interaction designer, and visual designer. Only 3 of those hats have to do with the visuals. In my experience, 70% or more of the projects I've worked on is spent on some part of the visuals, whether it's sketching, wireframing, prototyping, or creating the final visual mockups. So you'll definitely get to spend time in the creative space. If you're hearing this and thinking, well, I'll just become a UI designer then, well, think again. Many graphic designers we've worked with come into the UX world thinking they only want to be UI designers. That's because they're passionate about the visuals, but not the other parts of the process. Being a UI designer is fine, but there are 2 big issues that we always point out to them. First, when you're only a UI designer, you will have less impact than a UX designer. As a UI designer, you don't spend time conducting research or understanding the business. Instead, you're translating someone else's ideas into the final visual design. UI designers are more replaceable because they don't own the whole process. They don't uncover the insights. That's why UI designers also make less than UX designers. The second reason we don't recommend becoming a UI designer is because there are fewer UI designer jobs. Basically, if you're going to make the switch, then go all in on becoming a UX designer. Many of our graphic designer students discovered they enjoyed the research process. That's because they knew what directions to take their designs based on their own research. They also loved having data to back up their design decisions. This led them having a bigger impact on the project and the company. With all this in mind, the question to ask yourself is, do I want to work on more than just the visuals? So where did your answers line up? Here is your scorecard to think through if UX is a good move for you. If you answered no to 3 or more questions, then UX is not the right move. That said, any of these questions could be a deal breaker for you. It'll be up to you to make the best career decision. If you enjoy this unfiltered view of reasons graphic designers should not transition to UX, then you might be curious why graphic designers make excellent UX designers. If so, check this video out.